Grace and Peace Rooted Collective. Welcome back to Awakening Rooted, where the veil is thin, the vibes are deep, and the stories will make you question everything. Today, we are doing a reaction video, and I have my sister Deborah with me, who some of you have asked to join the videos again. If you don't know who I am, and I doubt that I ever really say what my name is, I'm Denise. Um, but today, we are going to be looking, I think, at a combination of spiritual and maybe a little bit of spooky videos. So, if you are into the mystical, the metaphysical, or the downright unexplainable, you are in the right place. So, let's get started.
I'm doing y'all a favor by telling the story in the daytime because I know a lot of people do not like scary stories at night. I mean, they do, but anyway, I just want to share some creepy stuff that has happened to me before. So in 2006, I'm telling my age, in 2006, I moved to Texas, the grand old state of Texas. We moved into a new build. It was me, my dad, my mom, and my little brother. All is well. It's beautiful. I'm so excited because I'm a military kid. We've never had our own home before. We've always just lived on base. So this was new to me. So we move in. It's not on any kind of Indian burial ground, not next to a cemetery, none of that. It's just a new build in Texas. It's a 2-story, 5 bedrooms, real typical. So we get there. I'm excited. My bedroom is at the end of a T-shaped hallway, and then out. My bedroom's over here. The end is my dad's office. And then in this little corridor, it leads out to the living room or the upstairs media area, whatever you want to call it. At first, I'm excited, right? I'm a teenager. I've got my whole brand new furniture. Everything's going great. I'm excited to meet like country boys. Such a letdown. But I am instantly uncomfortable. My bed, the way it is, it's like facing the door, so I can look down the hallway to my dad's office. And every night I'm just so uncomfortable because I have this, I didn't see anything, but you know when you can feel someone looking at you and you can actually even sometimes tell how big the person is or something like that is what was going on. I was feeling this presence. It was so creepy. She was like squatting. It was a kind of child, I would say probably like 11 to 12-year-old, squatting and just looking at me in the hallway. It was so foreboding. I just knew she wanted to hurt me. She wanted to kill me. Maybe it's dramatic, but that's literally how I felt. Every night I felt her, and it's like I had an image in my head of this almost drowned rat looking kind of situation. She was just staring at me through a curtain of hair. I don't know how I'm getting this image because I did not see her. I just felt it. So my response to that was, I'm not sleeping in my room. I am a full teenager, like 16, 17 years old, whatever, something like that. I decided I'm going to sleep in our spare room where I felt that there was a older male presence that was kind of protective. I would sleep in there, or I would sleep in the living room, or sometimes I would go sleep in my brother's room. But I was not sleeping in my room. Fast forward, I'm in college. My parents have separated. My dad is selling that house. He has professional cleaners coming. If you know anything about San Antonio, Texas, because that's where it was, it is full of Hispanic individuals. They are rich in culture. They have brujeria. They have just their own spiritual thing going on. These 2 cleaners, one was male, one was female, they're doing their job. They make the home beautiful and everything. And they just randomly tell my dad, did you know that there are 2 spirits here, a female and a male? Bruh, I thought I was crazy. But that's just the lightest story that I have about paranormal stuff that has happened to me. Tell me what you think. Has anything like that ever happened to you before? Am I crazy?
Is she crazy? Well, whatever. The way she told that story was crazy. I know, because I'm almost like, so what happened?
The climax.
I know.
The
like,
good stuff.
What happened? It's like The only thing that this spirit did was squatted in the hallway and looked at her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Her eyes are intense, though. It's something about the black, the irises of her eyes, though. That's scary enough.
I mean,
as it
when
is.
she said Hispanic, I knew she was going to say that
If
they
saw
felt something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your karma is connected directly to your parents. Y'all didn't hear me listen to this because I'm telling you, I'm finna give y'all some real game. Your karma in life is connected directly to your parents. Look, I know sometimes your mama might be getting on your nerves. She might be talking crazy. Your daddy might be talking crazy, thinking you still a kid. Whatever it is, you can never disrespect your parents. I don't care how crazy they think they can talk to you. I don't care how grown up they think that you not is yet. Look, you wonder why your life is in shambles. It might be because you out here tweaking, but it might be because how you treating your parents, how you disrespecting your parents. You might not even do it to their face. Like, don't even be thinking bad thoughts about your parents because they brought you here. And I hate it when people be like, oh, I didn't ask to be here. No, you beat 10 trillion fucking other people, which were little droplets, life forces to get here. So I don't want to hear you didn't ask to be here. You did. You ran a race and you beat 1 million people. So you really wanted to be here, actually. So this message is just quick and it's concise. You should really reconsider disrespecting your parents because it's connected directly to your karma. You want to test it out? Do it. I don't care what your parents did and said. You honor them, and that's that. So keep that in mind, y'all. Respect your parents.
I agree with what he said. When he first started talking, though, when he said your karma is directly related to your parents, I thought it was like, it was something that your parents did.
I did
and that's
too.
why your karma is the way it is.
I did
But
too.
I agree with what he said.
My first thought was you should really think about disrespecting your parents unless you want your back broken. That's what snatch you up.
Yeah, I agree with what he said. Because basically, whatever you put out there is what you're getting back.
I mean, isn't that the universal law
Of karma.
Your body is the first lie detector, and I'm about to show y'all how. I get a lot of questions of, how do I know if it's my intuition or me just making shit up? Example time. So let's say somebody come and ask you, hey, you want to go out for dinner or you want to go out for lunch? Immediate response is like, hell yeah, free food, I'm there. But your body start doing something totally different from what your mind is telling you. Your chest start getting tight, your stomach start turning, getting heart palpitations. That spirit telling you do not go. That's discernment in action. A lot of times we don't listen. Later on you go and some shit pop off. Then you get to thinking about that warning and you say to yourself, damn, something told me not to go. That something was what? You, the higher you. Or let's just say you go out on a date, right? You know, they some fine shit, fine. On paper, perfect. Your body just can't relax. You sipping water like you in the desert. A lot of times, that's your nervous system telling you, something about this energy ain't clean. What about that job offer that just came through? It looked real good, too. I mean, the money is amazing. A good company. Mind telling you, take it. But your body? Back get tense. Your shoulders feel heavy. That's your intuition. That's spirit. That's discernment. It's telling you this is not alignment. This is a trap. Everything that glitter ain't gold. Your ego is going to try to rationalize it, but your body is never going to lie to you. Shoulders, your gut, your breath, it does not lie. The thing about all of this is if you got to hype yourself over 20 times just to do something, just to say yes, is really a no. The formula is to notice the signal. Notice the tight chest. Notice your stomach turning. Notice the heavy shoulders, the heavy breathing, that jaw clench. You ask yourself, is this fear of growth or is this my spirit protecting me? Now, if it's lighter when you ask that question, a lot of times that's just fear. Push through it. Don't let your mind, aka your ego, play tricks on you. This is why it's key to learn the difference between your ego and spirit. Now, if it feels heavy when you ask that question, that's spirit. Don't play yourself. Listen the first time. Sermon ain't always got to be mystical and shit. Sometimes it's just listen to what your body has to say. Body does not lie, your ego does. Real quick, I'm going to give y'all something that one of my mentees gave me. She told me this is how she checks her yeses and her no's.
She said when she asks herself a question, if her body leans forward just a little, that's her yes. If it leans back slightly, that's her no. I started doing this and I promise y'all, that shit works. It don't have to be dramatic. It could be the smallest shift because your nervous system is going to notice. I'm talking about way before your mind does. Just try it. Ask yourself a yes or no question and see how your body naturally responds. Don't try to force it. And get in the comments and let me know your thoughts. As always, peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
So that lean back and forth thing,
Mm-hmm.
is it my subconscious making me do
I
that?
feel like that. So is your subconscious is spirit telling you maybe
And the thing about the symptoms of your intuition, I don't know that I've ever felt like my stomach hurt or my chest get tight. It's just some feeling. It's just something in me that's like in my brain is like
I would say for me it's like a feeling in the pit of your stomach. Yeah, that's what I get, like the feeling in the pit of the stomach. But as always, I always resonate with whatever she says because it just makes so much sense.
She don't have me asking myself yes or no questions. No, you don't have to go to work today.
Should I go to work today?
No.
So I am at work, and because there is an overflow downstairs, I have one patient on a whole entire floor, me and an aide, and literally in this whole entire floor, there's one patient up here. That is mine. Well, this used to be the COVID unit, and a lot of people died up here, and I feel a little uneasy tonight. So I'll see if I have a story to tell y'all in the morning about this shit, because when I say this, I don't want to show the hallway too much. But yeah, so when I say there's one patient on this big ass floor, I mean that shit. I'm stressed out a little bit. And so, yeah. I don't know, maybe I'll do some like investigating tonight. But when I say there is nobody else on this floor, I mean that. And it's huge, so we'll see, guys.
Remember the other video we just saw where she say when you start get that back get tight and she feeling a little stressed out, that's telling her she should not be there.
And doggone sure shouldn't be doing an investigation.
And it was a COVID floor too. No, I want to see the investigation.
I gotta remember her paranormal black.
Yeah. Hold on. All right, y'all. So we had to find the second video for this one because this one was just getting a little bit too good. So let's see what happened.
Okay, y'all, so yes, freaky shit has started to happen. So when I walk through the hallway, like, if I'm like, because I've been on FaceTime and stuff, because this unit is freaking me the fuck out. I've been crying, my eyes are red because I'm fucking weirded out. Okay, I'm gonna walk through the hallways and y'all tell me if y'all can pick up the male voice just let me know if y'all can pick up the voice. I'm just gonna walk through because for some reason I can pick him up. I picked him up earlier on live today and I just picked him up again. Fuck, I don't want to go out into this hallway. I don't want to go out into this hallway, y'all. It's scary. It's freaky. Oh my God. I don't even want to look into the camera. Oh my God. So look, y'all. Just let me know if I pick it up on audio. Oh, fuck. Wait. The camera keeps the camera keeps doing glitchy shit, and it's a conference room up here, so I'm just in here. I don't want to face. I was outside on the patio, and the fucking blinds out there open by themselves. They were closed. I was talking to a friend, and then the bitches opened. So now I'm just sitting in front of a wall because I don't want to see shit. It's too much going on. So let me know if y'all can hear the male voice in the hallway or not. Anyway, bye.
I didn't hear anything.
No, because
But is it crazy of me to say I want to go there and see what the heck it's all about?
I know, right? She just can't tell us where she is,
She can't.
but I feel like whatever that was on the floor might have been like something drying the carpet or something.
Oh, okay.
And that was loud, so how could you hear it? But I am so interested. Like, I'm going to go back and
Does she
see.
have anything?
I subscribe to her. Let me see.
I will when I.
So I subscribe to her because her name is Paranormal Black. So, hold on. There may be one more video. All right, so checked again. There's nothing
No update, paranormal.
after this.
Can you please tell us how that night ended or that shift ended?
Yeah, I'm interested to know.
That looked like it just feels so good to sit there with that wind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
But so the sound bowls are freaking expensive.
I know.
Like $400.
Yeah.
I want to set so bad, but I ain't got $400.
Mhm.
It make me want to go to the beach.
I know. This is me. Like, I downloaded some videos of people in the rain, and I hope that they are in this one because that's what I just want to do. These people were having a full-on party in the rain.
That sounds good. My hair gonna be like,
Who cares?
but it's alright.
Put a
It's
plastic
moisturized.
So you meet this guy online, and he invites you back to his house, only for you to find out that his house is haunted. Yes, cousins, I am back with another story time. Let's not waste some time, and let's get into it. So we're gonna call her Trina. So Trina met this guy online, and they was interested in both meeting up. So he's like, "Hey, you wanna come to my house? We can make dinner, we can cook," and she agreed. So when she gets there, she also finds out that he has a female friend staying with him, and he also has a roommate. It's about 4 to 5 o'clock p.m. when she gets there. She wasn't worried about the friend because she was been his friend since kindergarten, and the other reason why she was there because she was actually leaving out of town, and her flight got delayed. So instead of her checking into a hotel, she stayed with him. So they cook and they eat, and they end up falling asleep in the living room around 7. Everyone fell asleep around 7 o'clock. So she's still asleep. However, she feels the female friend gets up. She hears her packing up her luggage, and then the female friend comes give Trina a hug before she got to go take her flight. She said the hug felt so warm and it felt so inviting. So after the hug, she wakes up, only to find out that everyone, including the girl that hugged her, is still asleep. So now fast forward, everyone does actually wake up because the girl have an early flight. So they say the goodbyes, and she actually leaves this time. So the roommate's like, yeah, he has to work early in the morning, so he go gets in the bed, and Trina and the guy that she met on social media, they go get in the bed as well. So by the time they get in the bed, it's like midnight at this point. So he go to sleep fast. He knocks out, he sleeps, but she's like kind of up and kind of sleep as well. So she started hearing noises and stuff in the house, but one thing that really scared her was the bedroom door to his room creaked open. So he's still knocked out cold. He don't hear anything. And she hear footsteps slowly walking into the room. So as she continued to hear these footsteps, she hear it stops right in front of the bed. So she pauses for a moment and was like, okay, it's a sign of relief, like it's gone. But it wasn't. She felt whatever it was get in the bed on all fours. You know how like someone gets in your bed and you can feel like the impression or like the bed sinking where you know like, okay, it's a person right there? That's how it felt. Mind you, he has a California king bed, so it's a big behind bed that can fit a whole lot of people. So she feel this thing walk up on all fours or crawl up on all fours and get on top of her. As it crawled up on her body and sat on top of her, it started choking her out. So she's trying whatever she can, pushing, swinging to get this thing off of her. However, it's nothing physically there, so she's not hitting anything. The guy is still laying beside her, sound asleep. Because the bag is so big and he's not like directly beside her, she's trying to reach out and touch him. However, she cannot breathe at this point. So she's panicking because she can't breathe and she feels like her chest sinking in and she's trying to catch her breath for air and she just cannot catch a break. So she ended up just pleading the blood of Jesus and eventually it stopped. As soon as it got off of her, she immediately gasped for air and she's like 100% awake at this point. After she caught her breath, she did not go to sleep the rest of the night. She stayed up all night. The morning comes and he wakes up and she asks him like, hey, is your house haunted? And he's like, no, why would you ask that? So she said she did not tell him what she experienced that night. She ended up telling him she had to go to the bathroom, but instead of going to the bathroom, her Uber was already outside and she left his house. She has never talked to him again, and to this day, he still don't know why she just up and left his house the way that she did. But again, if you guys have any stories that you want to submit, make sure that you guys DM it or you email it to me to the email that's in my bio, okay? Cousins, I will be back with another story. Until then, enjoy this one.
First of all, why did you stay the night?
I was thinking the same thing. Like, catch your flight, girl. Go on, catch your flight. Call Uber now.
No, not even her. She left. This was the girlfriend, the girl. Well, I don't know if she was a girlfriend, but the guy's friend who stayed as a layover. She left.
Oh,
This was a
okay.
girl who was interested in this other guy
Okay.
who stayed the night with him. But why would you stay?
I don't
Like,
know.
why you ain't call Uber in the middle of the night and get your butt up out of there?
Why you ain't plead the blood of Jesus before you decided to stay?
Well, how she know she
But
need to do that?
Why you ain't go with your intuition?
Girl.
Y'all, quick question. I just want to know what y'all think when I say this. So when a person is on hospice and is getting ready to transition over, like, do y'all ever hear those knocks? And I'm not trying to sound crazy, but when my dad ended up passing, like, it was like maybe an hour or two later, me and my brother probably heard like these 3 big knocks, like boom, boom, boom. Have anybody else ever experienced something like that? And if y'all have, drop in the comments below. Tell me y'all stories. Like, what do it mean? Like, something. Like 3 big knocks after after someone passes over.
I've never experienced 3. Then that didn't sound like 3 knocks. That sounded like 3 bangs.
Mm-hmm.
But I have never experienced that and do not know what that means.
And I've never heard anybody else say that either.
Me either.
So as a content creator in New Orleans, I've only experienced a ghost or a spooky activity once before while I've been out doing content. This was about 2 years ago. In fact, I think this was actually photography. I say content, it's all the same. But I was doing photography at the Masonic Cemetery, which is right across the street from City Park. It's a specific song that's very up-tempo. It's a song that I had heard tons of times. I still can't remember what it is now, but at the time, I was standing in a certain spot, and the music that is normally doom 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 doom, it started to come to a complete slow while I was standing in a certain point, from being doom 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 doom, and it stayed at that slow tempo for a good 15 seconds before I was playing like, I need to stop this song. Kept pressing pause, but it wouldn't pause. So it's just like glitching out for some reason, going real slow while I'm in a cemetery. Before I even got to leave the gate, I heard like a twig crack. So you could see the area, nobody was there. And even as I heard the twig crack, nobody was still there. So I just knew then I need to back out backwards. It's supposed to prevent the ghosts from following you, so I end up leaving the cemetery backwards. I'm the type of person where in New Orleans there are spooky things that happen all the time, but I just don't engage with it. People think it's fun to come to New Orleans to just be like, oh, let's go find some ghosts, let's go be haunted, ha ha ha, until they follow you home. Whenever I see or hear something I think is like weird, I'm not investigating it. I'm just like, okay, bye.
Listen, we talked about it in the last video about walking out of the cemetery backwards so nothing would attach to you and follow you home.
I think I would have been freaked out so bad that you'd have sort of dust behind me because, like, it wouldn't even click to walk out backwards.
When his music slowed down, why are you staying? To be honest, it doesn't seem like he stayed.
Yeah.
It seemed like he backed his ass up out of that cemetery quick.
Yeah.
But I still want to go to New Orleans. I still want to go to the cemetery where Marie Laveau is.
I don't know about that.
We gonna baby step this thing because I still want to go to Savannah.
No.
So,
Okay, hear me out. I went to New Orleans. I come from a clairvoyant family that is spiritually gifted, and I lie to you not. I have never had so many range of emotions visiting places more than I did New Orleans. I've never had a more vivid nightmare than the one I had in New Orleans. I looked in somebody's face and I saw that they weren't human. They were most definitely something spiritual and not good. You feel me? Like I had a dream in New Orleans that was so vivid and so real. This is in the middle of the day. We had just got finished eating lunch, went back, take a nap or whatever. I dreamt that water was running and I kept hearing people crying and crying and crying. Like, oh man.
so first of all, New Orleans is spiritually loud. So if you're going to experience anything, I think you're going to experience it there. And if you do experience anything on a regular basis, it's going to be times 10.
You know what popped in my head though? With his dream about the water and people crying. I'm like, is that a premonition of the floods? Like, it's, you know what I mean? Depending on when all
He
this
was there.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah. You know this the anniversary of Katrina. Well, the 29th was.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20th anniversary. It's 20 years.
I did have a coworker whose family was from New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
When that whole thing happened, and she just kept telling me about her grandmother. I think her grandmother wound up being okay.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good, because I was watching those specials on Netflix and some other channel, and they was talking about finding elderly people in houses and stuff.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen someone knocking on a gravestone and wonder why that is, well, it's a simple act of courtesy. It's just like knocking on someone's front door when you come to visit them. There's also a tradition for a specific person, Marie Laveau. She was a voodoo practitioner, very famous in Louisiana in the 1800s. She was not only a voodoo practitioner, but an herbalist and a midwife, and she was famous for granting wishes. So, when you visit her grave, not only do you knock on it, but you make a wish, break off a piece from another gravestone, and draw an X on her grave. If the wish is granted, you come back and circle the X.
That is interesting, but why would I deface somebody else's grave to draw an X on hers?
That co-worker I was telling you about was a midwife.
Okay.
From New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. That's something.
So I'm confused. People on this app will really watch a video of people collecting graveyard dirt, crossroad dirt, and anything that they can get their hands on for their own magical benefits without paying for it. So you mean to tell me that you just go walk straight into a graveyard, pick up dirt, and walk out? And then later you'll get a reading because nothing is working? Things are getting worse for you? Your money is blocked? You're going through chaos? You do know when you first walk into a cemetery, before you get into the cemetery, there's a certain way you have to enter. Before and after you collect your herbs for your own benefits, there's certain payments that needs to be done out of respect for the dead and out of respect for that spirit. At this point, I just think some people slow. Y'all listen to anybody. If nobody gives you any of these disclaimers in their videos, they're fake. Because any and every real spiritualist know you have to give that spirit, even if it's a tree, their respect. Yes, you can use bank dirt, graveyard dirt. You can get leaves. You can get whatever you like. But everything comes with a price. and you must do it in a respectful way. You do know there is more in a cemetery than just dead people. Trust me, it is not just dead people though. Stop taking shortcuts. Stop doing everything the half-ass way. Because this is why some of you can't get up on your feet. Because you have a spiritual debt that you gotta pay. And you won't get up on your feet until it's paid.
I have heard that before, that whenever you take something, you leave something.
Mm-hmm.
I think people just don't believe that shit stinks.
What if you take a picture? Because I went to the cemetery in
But
Savannah.
you didn't take any physical anything from the graveyard to take home with you.
No.
I wouldn't be doing that lately either. I maybe ask permission or something.
I feel like that's the one
say
thing.
Say thank you or something.
That's the one thing that would have an attachment to it.
A picture?
No. Whatever you took from.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So when you are going to the cemetery just to do spiritual work, it is a whole different ball game. There is stuff that you do at the gate going in, while you're in, and leaving. But if you are going to just visit family, please wrap your head. Protect your crown. If you don't have your head wrapped, the spirits are going to see your light and they're going to try to latch on you. Make sure you have some salt on you, in your pockets, in your shoes, and at the crown of your head. Make sure you bring an extra pair of shoes. Do not walk in your house with cemetery dirt at the bottom of your shoes. You are walking in spirits and other things. Bring an extra pair of shoes, leave them shoes at the door. Make sure you clean them off, put some extra salt on them. Yes, water, ammonia, salt. Use what you got. And last but not least, before you enter your home, walk backwards. Spirits will be right behind you, following you. I can guarantee you this. By you walking backwards, you are looking at them directly in their face. It's going to make them jump and scare them. Tell their ass to go home and don't follow you. They'll leave. Bye.
I don't know if it's that filter, but there is something eerie about her. Looking at, first of all, I think that filter makes it look like she has like a film over her eyes or something.
Mm-hmm.
She's eerie looking.
Yeah.
Any pickles downstairs? Why you asking?
I just want a pickle.
I think it might be.
Let's talk about when kids hear things that are not there. If you're new here, hi. I usually talk about some pretty scary stuff, and today I'm going to be talking about a story that my longtime family friend actually told me the other day. So just for context purposes, these people have 2 children under the age of 3, and they have just moved into this older home. And in this home, it is a split level entry home where they have baby gates at the top of the stairs and at the other set of stairs that lead into the basement. So visually, they have a baby gate at the top of the stairs, and then at the very bottom of the second set of stairs, they have another baby gate. And he specifically says that the one in the basement is so old and rickety that you really have to shake it to get it to open. But anyways, his wife was home with the babies and they were just hanging out in the living room. And in the living room, you can clearly see like over the banister, you can see the front door, you can see like who's coming in and out of the home. And they're just playing, watching TV, whatever, when all of a sudden, his wife and his oldest baby hear the shaking of the baby gate that is in the basement. And she immediately stops and kind of looks at her kid because he heard it too. And she even asked him, like, what was that? And their son responds with, Daddy's home? And she's like, no, he's not home. He's not supposed to be home right now. And I can't remember the exact conversation that they were having with this 2.5-year-old, but it eventually came down to, I'm not going down there. And when he was telling me this story, I immediately look at him and I look at my boyfriend and I'm like, there, I told you that there was something weird. And what I'm about to tell y'all is 100% real. I did not know anything about this house. I did not know anything about this story. I didn't know anything about anything. They had me go over to their house and watch their kids so they could have like a date night. I said, sure, fine. they offered to have my boyfriend over as well because they know him, they know me. And originally, I told my boyfriend that I was just going to go by myself and whatever because it wasn't going to be very hard and the kids were going to be asleep and I was just like to watch the house. Probably 3 days before I'm supposed to do this, I'm just getting this feeling in my stomach and I don't want to go to their house by myself and I don't know why. So I am begging my boyfriend to come and thankfully he said yes. And it makes sense why I was feeling that way now. Oh, and after my family friend is like describing this entire story to me, he just ends the story by saying like, yeah, it's really weird because I think something's following me because everywhere I go and everywhere I live, something weird is happening. And I was just looking at him like, what? And then he doubles down and he says, yeah, everywhere I live, something weird happens. And I talk about this topic a lot on my page about how children seeing things, dolls, kids, it just freaks me out. Did you hear that? As you can tell, I am trying to be proactive and film a lot of videos, which is why I'm wearing the same thing in multiple videos in a row. This is the second video where I think I got something and you can barely hear it. Just a little in the background. I don't know. But anything with dolls and kids and anything where someone else is able to see something and you are not, don't like it. Don't like it. And I think it really boils down to children in my brain because I'm one of those people that believes that children are able to see things that adults are not because their minds are more open to seeing things. But anyways, that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned for more ghost stories.
I'm a little mad because she told us the guy's story or the family friend story, but she didn't say what happened to her when she went to babysit.
She didn't.
I had an attitude about that.
She didn't, but you notice what she did say 3 days before she got that feeling in her stomach. Why all these things are kind of linking together, these videos? And I randomly picked these videos, so why are they all linking together? Because the lesson for today, kids, is intuition.
Trust your gut.
Let me tell you something that may sound insane at first, but your spirit already knows it's true. You were never ordinary. You were never safe. You were never supposed to blend in because you were chosen. And not by man, not by popularity, not by religion, not by bloodline or birthright, but by a God who whispered your name before time had a clock. While others were being formed, you were being forged. While they got blessings, you got battles. While they got platforms, you got pits. But here's the secret hell doesn't want you to know. The pit was never punishment, it was preparation. You weren't overlooked, you were hidden because chosen ones aren't put on display. They're put through fire because only those who've survived the furnace can carry the flame. See, there's a reason the enemy came for your mind early. A reason betrayal hit you harder than most. A reason you've been tired but still unbroken, crushed but never destroyed. Because there's something embedded in you that hell can't delete, a divine code that screams, untouchable, you were sealed. Before you ever lifted a prayer, before you ever fasted, before you ever repented, he sealed you with something hell can't reverse, an unbreakable assignment. And that's why the top demon himself can't touch you. He doesn't just see your wounds, he sees what you carry. That's why the attacks were never random, that's why the rejection wasn't a coincidence. That's why isolation became your best friend, because God wasn't punishing you. He was protecting what hasn't even been released yet. You're not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're loaded. You're not just a person, you're a prophecy in progress. So now the question is, will you believe what life has said about you, or will you step into what heaven already knows? Because when God seals a destiny, it doesn't matter how hard hell hisses. The chosen cannot be cursed, the sealed cannot be touched, and the one who walks with fire cannot be burned. Stay right here, because by the time you reach the end of this message, you'll understand why even the highest ranking demon backed off when he saw you coming. Number one, you're not just protected, you're off limits. You're not just protected, you're off limits. There's a difference. Protection means something is guarding you, but being off limits means even if the enemy gets close, he still can't touch you. There's a line drawn around your life, and it's not written in chalk, it's carved in divine authority. God didn't just say, I'll keep them safe. He said, don't touch this one. That's a command, not a suggestion. And when God speaks, the spiritual realm obeys. Even hell knows better than to cross a line God himself has set. That's why the attacks you've faced never did what they were supposed to do. You've been hit, yes, wounded, yes, but never destroyed, never taken out. That's because there's a layer over your life that goes beyond logic. It doesn't make sense why others crumbled under pressure you survived, why others lost their minds in storms that you somehow walked through. It's not that you're stronger, it's that you're sealed. See, the enemy studies people. He knows weakness, he tracks patterns, but when he gets to you, he sees something different. He sees a life with heavenly orders stamped all over it. He sees boundaries he can't cross. He sees divine warnings that say, access denied. It drives him crazy. So instead of attacking you directly, he sends distractions, confusion, delays, people who carry chaos. But it never really works. Why? Because even in your lowest moments, there's something in you he can't crack. That's what happens when you're chosen. You're not just watched over, you're marked. And being marked by God doesn't mean life gets easier. It means hell recognizes you as a threat, even when you don't feel like one. But it still can't reach you. You're not vulnerable the way others are. You walk with a seal that can't be forged, faked, or forced open. You're not just protected. You are untouchable, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. Number two, you're not in a battle. You are the battlefield. You're not in a battle. You are the battlefield. That's why your life has felt like a war zone since the beginning. You weren't just born into conflict, you attract it, not because you're weak, but because you carry something that forces light and darkness to collide. Wherever you go, something shifts, atmospheres change, people get uncomfortable, things either break off or break loose. That's not random, that's spiritual. You don't step into battles, you become the ground where battles are fought. There's a reason you've always felt like you were being pulled in two directions, like you're in the middle of something bigger than you. That's because you are. You carry weight, and not just emotional weight. Spiritual gravity. When you walk into a place, there's an invisible line drawn. One side is trying to push you into purpose. The other is desperate to distract or destroy you. That tension you feel isn't confusion. It's evidence that both kingdoms recognize what you carry. You think you're just going through life, but life has been coming through you. Every breakdown, every battle, every unexpected attack. It all makes more sense when you realize you're not just caught in the crossfire. You are the fire. You're the territory God's trying to reclaim, and the enemy is trying to sabotage. That's why you wrestle with heaviness that others don't feel. That's why people are drawn to your light, but also try to dim it. You've been wondering why peace seems temporary, and rest always gets interrupted. It's because your very existence is disruptive to darkness. You carry clarity that breaks confusion. You carry purpose that frustrates evil. You carry presence that pushes back hell. And the wildest part, you're still standing. With all that pressure, all that warfare, all that weight, you're still here, still fighting, still walking. That's not by accident. That's because even when you didn't know it, heaven was using your life to make a statement. You don't just show up to battles. Battles happen because you showed up.
I love that.
Can you imagine? You know how TikTok has that trend, your 90s song or something, that you try to follow that trend and then this is what came out.
So I'm gonna tell you, I did that when they what they say, is it upload a picture or something?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like trying to figure out what my song was, and then somebody started talking.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't listened to it.
Oh man, you probably should have. You probably should have. But also, I said I randomly picked these videos. Apparently, somebody needs to hear this message. Talk about powerful.
What paranormal experience?
Long story short, I've always been a dreamer. I've always been able to see things. I had a dream one particular night, one of many, about the rapture. So in this dream, I'm pulling up to my house and I get out of my car. And when I get out of my car, the rapture takes place, right? So I'm literally hearing horns, everything. Then all of a sudden the ground splits open. And when the ground splits open, keep in mind everything's pitch black. So when the ground splits open, there's demons and everything crawling from out of the ground at this point. One particular demon, as it's crawling out of the ground, it catches me and locks eyes with me. I get scared and I run. I run to my apartment. The way that my apartment was set up, it was kind of like a 2-family flat. So it was like here's the door, and then you got to go up the stairs to get to the another door, which that door was my front door to my apartment. So I run up to my apartment. I turn around. As soon as I turn around, that demon is there, staring, looking at me. And it just gave this grin, this big smile from ear to ear. I wake up from the dream. Also, during this time, I'm living in the homeless shelter. I'm about 16 and my daughter is about to be 1. So my daughter was pretty much a happy baby the entire time. She never really got sick. I didn't have any issues out of her. I went through a time period where my daughter was going to this particular daycare and she kept getting sick, and I couldn't figure out why she was getting sick. It was abnormal for her to be sick, down, and always crying because she was such a happy baby. One day I'm getting her from the daycare van, and the daycare driver, she asks me, she's like, "Miss Brittany, is everything okay?" And I tell her, I'm like, "No, I'm having a really rough day today. I'm having a bad day." She turns while I'm pulling her out of the car, the van. She turns around, grabs my arm. Soon as she grabbed my arm, I got chills all over my body. And then she looks at me, locks eyes with me, and goes, "Everything is going to be just fine." And she gives me that same smile that demon gave me. I take my baby out of that daycare. She gets better within days. My baby is back to normal, like nothing ever happened. Not only does she get better, that daycare gets pissed off at me and they hound me for like 6 months, threatening me to put her back into that daycare. And you know what's even funny? When I get pregnant with my second child, something similar happens again. So if you want to hear the tea on what happens with my second pregnancy, let me know. Leave a comment below. I'll give you the details. Long story short, heaven and hell is real. It's real.
Wow. Also, that something is telling her she ain't supposed to be putting none of her children in daycare. She's supposed to be taking care of them. She has the prettiest teeth, though.
I was just thinking that.
I just kept looking at her teeth.
What paranormal experience turning from a skeptic to a...
Okay, so back in 2005, I was 13 at the time. My oldest sister ended up getting very sick. Now, she has sickle cell anemia, so SS type. And so if you're familiar with that, you know that it's the worst type. And so she was always sick, in and out of the hospital. She used to beg my mother not to take her to Grady Hospital. That is downtown Atlanta, Georgia. And so this particular time, she had to have a gallbladder, her spleen removed. She needed a blood transfusion and something else. And you know, Grady's one of the biggest hospitals for surgery. And so that's where they ended up sending her to have the surgery. And so my mother, after the surgery was done, my mother wanted us to go and see her. And so we all ended up going down there. So my sister was good or whatever. We were cool talking. Everything was fine. Until my sister kind of like looked off in the corner behind where we were sitting. And so my mother's like, "Chantel, what are you looking at?" And she's like, "Y'all don't see that girl in the corner?" And my mom's like, "No, we don't see no girl in the corner. What does she look like?" And so my sister's like, "She's a girl and she's holding a teddy bear and she's telling me to come play with her." And so my mom is like, tell her no. And so my sister looks back at the corner and she tells the girl no or whatever. The next thing you know, my sister jumps back. And so my mom's like, "What?" My mom jumped up like, "What?" And she was like, the girl's face turned into like a half burnt face. And so immediately my mom started praying. And so me and my little sister and my other sister looking around like, what's going on? And so while my mom was praying, we all noticed that my sister was pressing the button on the side of her bed, like basically making her bed rise up in the air. And my mom ended up opening her eyes and looking, and that's when we all seen something like maybe a hand or something going up the side of my sister's bed. up under the covers, and she was basically raising her bed so that the hand couldn't touch her. You have to like for part 2.
Your sister told you do not let her go to Grady Hospital. And y'all took her. Well, no, I think she ended up there because that was a surgery hospital. Yeah. But Lord have mercy. Can we find us somewhere else to have surgery? But I wonder if it's like a little groundhog or something. It's creepy to look at, but it could be something just very simple.
What's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life, and why you still think about that moment?
If y'all been following me for a while, y'all know I've had a lot of like spooky, magical experiences growing up. And opposed to a lot of the other stuff I've seen, this one is kind of like PG. So growing up, I was raised by my 2 aunties, my grandmother, and my mother. And we all lived in the same house. One key thing I remember growing up was my grandmother's brother, because she only had one brother, would always come up to visit her at least once a month. And they were getting up there. They were old, because by the time I was born, my grandma was already in her 60s. Remember also, I've told you on other story times that my grandmother was psychic, because there's a psychic line that runs in my family. Oh, and also side note, what you believe in is what you believe in. And I can vividly remember sometime when my grandmother would be sitting with her brother and they would just be chopping it up, talking and gossip. My grandmother was so intuitive. She could literally tell you the stuff that you did in your day before you got to her house. And she would be accurate. My grandmother was so good. There's a common story that always goes through the family of my grandma was so psychic and intuitive that she would always tell my grandpa when he was cheating. And not like on some women intuition shit, because it could have been that too. Like she would always tell him like when he would take the train to like Chicago and do his dirt, she would tell him the stuff he did, the place, the person, the woman's backstory, the shit they said in conversation or pillow talk, if you know what I mean. And it would freak my grandpa out to the point where he would be calling my grandma a witch, even though that never stopped him. So occasionally in conversation when my grandma would be talking to her brother in their old age, she would tell him the things he did before he got to the house that day. And you know how them old school black men, they be like, I'll tell you this much, you ain't nothing more than a witch. But he say it playfully. You know how siblings are, especially siblings from like the 30s and the 40s. So moving forward, it's 2000. He gets sick. He's on his deathbed. My grandmother and my 2 aunties, they all travel down to Illinois to be by his side. Sadly, we know he's going to pass away, but now we're just like, when? So me and my mom stay back at the house waiting to get the call. And me and my mom are watching this TV in the living room. And my grandmother has around her house, she always had religious relics, statues, little figurines, pictures on the wall. And a key thing she had was 3 dove figurines that she could hang on the wall. And they were right next to that footprints in the sand religious picture where, you know, the one where they're like, when you didn't see footprints, it's when I carried you, that shit. And when I tell you those 3 doves were on the wall since I was born, because you know how sometimes in those old school black elders' houses, they'll have shit sitting there for decades and they'll just have a layer of dust on. But you know better than to touch it because they'll slap your lips off if you do. So anyway, me and my mom were watching TV and we hear something fall off the wall in the dining room. We get up to go see, and we see that one of the doves fall. So instead of 3, there's 2 now. A second later, the phone rings. My mom goes to answer it, and it's my mom's sister telling them that their uncle died, my grandma's brother. My mom pulls out the couch, and she sends me behind the couch that had a lot of shit behind it to go look for it. We don't see anything. It disappears. It didn't break. It didn't shatter. It just vanishes. We tell my grandma, she's all nonchalant about it because, you know, she supernatural down. She's like, oh, it's good to know he made it to the other side. And to this day, we never were able to find that dove. It fell off the wall and vanished.
Peace, loves. So this is Weird Things That Happen to Us That We Didn't Know Had Spiritual Meanings, part 10. So today, we're going to be talking about back pains. So if you tend to just have unexplainable back pain, some of us might just equate it to we getting older. But in reality, it could really mean that there's an imbalance in your chakras. So for anybody who may be unfamiliar with chakras, they are the energy sources that help keep us in balance. So they start at the base of your spine and they go up to the top of your head. And pretty much they are the guiding forces through our lives. They're going to be what helps us with our motivation, our creativity, our self-esteem. And the higher you go, the more spiritual it gets. So then that's when we get to like our higher consciousness within our third eye and our crown chakra. So these are the energy sources that help us push through and help us essentially find our spiritual awakening. Now back to back pains. So pretty much the area in which the pain resides is going to kind of give you a feel of what chakras may be out of balance. So if you're feeling pain in your lower back region, that may be a sign that you have an imbalance in either your root or your sacral chakra, which is essentially where your feeling of security, self-esteem, motivation, or even intimacy may reside. So maybe think about how you feel about yourself, what types of foundations you set for yourself in life, and maybe figure out what may be out of whack or out of balance. Pain towards your mid back is going to represent an imbalance in your solar plexus chakra, which is where we house our feeling of self-identity and personality. So maybe think, are you always yourself when you're around people, or are you one to switch up? Do you not feel comfortable enough to be yourself around people or in certain environments? Pain in your upper back could mean that there may be an imbalance or a blockage in your heart chakra, which we all know what the heart chakra means, love. Now that can be in a relationship, it can be friendship, it can be family, it can be self-love. So there are a lot of different areas that you can think about in that area. And if you're feeling pain in your neck region, that could represent a imbalance in your throat chakra, which means communication, both within the physical and the spiritual realms. Maybe you need to pray more, maybe you need to meditate more, maybe you just need to communicate better with people in the physical world. And to be honest, if we go into the third eye and crown chakras, that's going to be more so centered around possible like eye and head pain. So I'll touch on that in another video. If you're experiencing any of these different types of back pain, I have good news for you. Yes, there are ways to relieve it and ways to get those chakras back in balance and get those blockages removed. But it's a little too much for me to talk about in this video, so I'll make another one. Peace.
I have low back pain. I'm old.
I'm always telling you guys some crazy, spooky stories that be happening in my life, but listen to this one. Okay, so everybody slept at their cousin's house and their cousin slept at their house or whatever. One night when I was younger, right, I was sleeping over at my grandmother's house with my cousins. My grandmother had bunk beds for us in one of her rooms, and I was sleeping at the top bunk bed, and my cousin was sleeping at the bottom. Anyways, one night I wake up like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm like trying to go back to sleep. Anyways, I start dozing off, right? And all of a sudden I hear a grown, angry man in my ear. It's whispering, and all of a sudden it started yelling. Don't make fun of me, because I'm getting somewhere with this, okay? I'm gonna tell you, it went like, take him a toy, take him a toy, take him a toy. Then it went angry, take him a toy, like that, right? I don't even fucking know what that is. That don't even make sense, right? Literally, I can probably call my cousin. I haven't talked to them in years. I can call my cousin, and he probably remembers this story. Because when they woke up in the morning, I asked them, I was like, which one of y'all was like playing with me last night, you know? Anyways, when I heard that, I like instantly got scared because I was falling back asleep, so my eyes were closed, the room was dark. All of a sudden I heard this grown man screaming in my ear, right? So of course I jumped and my eyes opened, and I was looking around the room. Nobody was there. I looked at the bottom bunk bed, leaned over, everybody was asleep. So I have a hard time going back to sleep, you know what I'm saying? But eventually I fall back asleep. Then in the morning, I asked them, I was like, who was playing with me last night? I heard this, and my cousins are like, you heard what? Remember, I checked and everybody was asleep. So I knew I was tripping. Anyways, I was like maybe, like 10, 9. Anyways, so it's just one of those things that I'm just like, you know what? It happened. Nobody's going to believe me or whatever. Fine, it's like, I don't even know if it was real. I'm 10, and we watch scary movies. Like I said, we grew up religious and spiritual, so it's like we grew up knowing these things and believing these things exist anyways. So it's nothing new for me. All right, fast forward to last night. 15, 18 years later, I'm laying in my bed, and that memory comes to me about how I heard this man's voice yelling in my ear when I was a kid. And I remember because it was so crazy to me because, first of all, what the heck is a tickle-my-toy? Secondly, the way the voice, it sounded like it was right in my ear, screaming in my ear. Like there was something standing next to the bunk bed and wanted me to hear him. Anyways, so Last night, I'm like, let me see if anything comes up, because now we have Google Translation, right? When I was a kid, the phones weren't even that advanced. So I go to Google Translation and I go Tickama-toy, right? And look at what pops up. Are you kidding me? There was a really angry spirit yelling in my ear. And I know nobody's gonna believe me, because I barely believed it until last night, and I researched it, and I'm like, how can I know? What the heck is a Tickama-toy? Who am I? I was born in New York, raised in freaking Broward. How could I know this word? Unless somebody was freaking screaming it in my ear in the middle of my sleep. And that's why I am a believer in many things.
Man, first of all, that was a little dragged out.
It was dragged out, but it
took
did
a
what it was supposed to do.
It did what it was supposed to do. That reminded me, I just had somebody comment on my video that I had this Hispanic guy telling his story about seeing this blue light above his mother or something.
Mm-hmm.
He told me his story was the most boring story, and I need to learn how to pick better videos.
People need to suck it.
But anyway, she dragged it out a bit, I will say that. But she did bring that thing full circle.
Yes, she did.
Do affect us, even late in life. I'm like, went to bed last night sitting here at Kristen's house, and my mind would let me go to sleep right away. And I just went through a whole list of abuses that I had all my life and all the people. So I'm going to write all those names down. It'll probably take up 2 sides of the paper. Of what happened to me growing up, and those things have affected how I behave today.
How long ago was some of those abuses?
Oh my goodness, like 60 years.
60?
Yeah.
So when we say that time does not heal all, something happened to my mom 60 years ago.
And I just told my dad 2 years ago.
Wow.
About it. Okay, and I'm just sitting here remembering this guy did this happened. That should not have happened, and hopefully I can put it all on paper, burn it up, and throw it away, because it did affect me in some manner or another. It did.
Yeah, and it's crazy how the trauma gets passed down.
Yeah,
we don't talk about it. So how detrimental has it been not really talking about the things that are hurting us, how much we suppress things, and how many of your parents are literally suppressing so much stuff, and it shows in their actions and their behaviors and their emotional unavailability, because that's one of the main things I think that hurt me the most growing up, that that we've talked about, is that I didn't feel like you were emotionally available. I could feel how uncomfortable you were when I had big feelings.
Right.
And why was that?
Well, what I've learned since we're on this journey of going back in time, I found out that my natural mother gave me up at 7 months old. Went to a party and didn't come home. And so my 20-year-old dad had to raise me, and I was breastfed. So just looking at that, my questions were, well, where was my milk after that? Who kept me while my father had to work? Other people did. And so I have like a span of time from being born to about 8 years old where I didn't get any love and kisses and caressing and talks about, oh, my beautiful daughter, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. I didn't get that. So I didn't know how to do that for a long, long time. I love my children, especially, particularly babies, cuddle and stuff. But as they grew up, I think I was not as close because I had the responsibility of parenting now.
You're a single parent.
And single, and I had to work sometimes 2 or 3 jobs. So I wish I could go back and revisit or live that time when I would take the time and listen to them, because some of the things that they missed, I missed, because my folks didn't always show up for my events, and I know how that feels. Now I think I was a little bit better than that, but that's what happens over time. So you pick up bad tools to use with your children, and until you know better, you're going to keep using them, and it keeps passing down to the next generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See? What the? Nobody's down here.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go.
Okay, so boom, when I was a little kid, I went to this Christian school, right? And the Christian school was like brand new, founded by like one of the oldest black churches in Tallahassee. And at the time, they didn't have a standalone building for it. They just had like, you know, school in the basement of the church because it was big enough to accommodate, you know, Monday through Friday when the kids would be needing school and space and stuff. So it was a small little situation, you know, it's cute, whatever. The church happened to be situated next to one of the oldest cemeteries in the city, right? So me, a baby medium, coming into their abilities, right? Because it's something for those who are unfamiliar. If you have mediumship abilities, you have those spirit communication abilities. It's something about that age range between like 7 and 13 where shit just start popping off. Like if your vision, your understanding was fuzzy before, it gets clear as so it's just like, oh, okay, cool. Dare I say even 6 to 13. But like something about that age range right there is when like if the lights are on, somebody is home. You know what I mean? So like things just started happening. I guess that would be like one of my first spiritual awakenings that I can remember. So I'm just going to school, just trying to cope with school shit. But it's a whole bunch of other spiritual activity that was going on that you couldn't really talk about because one, Christian school, two, it was a predominantly black school. I'll just say all black school. And this is back in the 90s, bitch, they didn't play that. You know what I'm saying? And I had the good sense to know, even at that young age, that I needed to keep my mouth shut, right? So there was this one particular day where we were my class was towards like the back of the church, so like deep in the basement, like under the ground. And I remember sitting in my class and like, you know, where we were, I was sitting sideways. So if someone is walking past the door, like if a teacher pops in, you know what I'm saying, you can see out of your periphery without actually having to look. And I remember there was this one particular day where, oh, also, important to note, where my classroom was, there were stairs from the top level of the church that came down on that side. Like, so there are stairs on one side, stairs on the other side, and the stairs like were right by where my classroom door was, right? So it wasn't uncommon if people were like upstairs cleaning the church or like preparing for like, they used to have like, I think on Wednesdays or whatever day, they used to have like a midday like prayer situation. So it wasn't uncommon on those particular days or if they were having events to see people coming down the stairs walking past your classroom, right? So I'm sitting in class one day, everybody's chilling. I hear like music upstairs, like an old school dirge, you know what I'm saying? Like it sounded sad, like a funeral. And I'm like, why the are they doing this right now? Like we got school. This is nah. Why are they doing this? And then all of a sudden I just see people and like dressed in black and white. I remember clearly because usually when you see spirits, if there's like residual energy, you may see them, but they don't see you. Like you don't exist in their timeline, right? So I remember this one particular lady, she looked at me and I looked at her and she looked at me and I looked at her. And she was just like, oh, this little can see me. And then she went on about her business. And I'm like, okay, maybe they are having something. But then it dawned on me like she was the only one who did that. And she wasn't dressed how people, even for a funeral in the 90s, should dress. It was giving Little House on the Prairie. It was giving like, you know what I'm saying? Like Harriet Tubman. It was giving old. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew even then, like one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. And then it wasn't until I asked my teacher, I was like, are they having an event upstairs? Is like something going on? And they were like, my teacher was like, no, it's not. She didn't hear no music. She didn't see nobody. She didn't see the procession of people coming down the stairs. She didn't see none of that shit. Just a regular, school day.
I want to know if anybody else saw that eyeball thing.
If I saw it and you saw it, I bet you somebody saw it if you saw it and I saw it.
What if they didn't and it was just you and me that saw it?
But now I see why they call her why she called herself Reckless Mouth Mama.
I was thinking that same thing.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
So I have a quick story time for you guys about a haunted house. My daughter likes me to tell this story to her friends because it is pretty interesting. Okay, so me and my kids relocated to this beautiful house in Atlanta, Georgia, and I picked it out over the internet, never seen it. So we get there, we pull up to the house. First red flag is the house is completely covered with spiders. Whole door from top to bottom covered with like daddy long legs spiders. We don't do spiders. We are very much city folks. We don't do no bugs, none of that. But it's completely covered in spiders. We get it cleaned off. We get in the house. We do a tour. I knew there was a basement. It was supposed to be finished. We get down to the basement. My dog would not go down to this basement. She did not like the thought of even going near that basement door. So we get down to the basement and notice that there's an extra door, a room that was not mentioned on the website. So we go in there and the room has like shelving, no windows, just an odd little room. And the downstairs basement back door to the outside has these iron hooks and a 2x4 that is over the front door to where I wouldn't be able to lift it. I don't know who could lift it, but that is how they have the door locked, is with the 2x4 across the door. So the way we can go outside is through the balcony and then down the stairs. The balcony, back patio, and down the stairs. So things started happening odd in the house. The one time I did have to go down to the basement. I can't remember what for, but my dog had went with me. And as soon as she got down there, she used the restroom. My dog is very much house trained. You could tell she was nervous, she was scared, she was anxious, and just used the bathroom. Couldn't hold it, nothing. I was like, okay, this is weird. The energy down there was also strange. There was a like furnace room down there, and the wall was splattered with like red paint. It wasn't painted, it just was kind of like throwing some paint on there. It looks like it was covering something up where the furnace and the breaker box was. Again, the energy was just so odd down there. I didn't like it, she didn't like it. We didn't have no reason for going down there. So one of the major things that happened in the house was one of the living rooms had two ceiling fans right next to each other, and the ceiling fans would always come on randomly at high speed together, both of them, and they would just be knocking, like going so fast that they're like swinging, and I would turn them off, go to the kids as usual, like, kids, stop turning the fans on. They were like, Mom, I'm not turning the fan on. Yes, you are. I just turned them off. They would say, Mom, we didn't go in there. We didn't turn the fans on. So that happened about 3 or 4 times. The fans would just turn on high speed on their own, and they just would swing really, really hard. And I would have to go and turn them off. And I was like, okay, this is weird. The kids are saying they're not turning the fans on. They just keep coming on their own. So then another time, me and my daughter are sitting down. I'm doing some work in our dining room, and she's doing homework. She's in kindergarten. My youngest was in kindergarten at the time. And she's like, Mommy, did you hear that? I'm like, what? She was like, somebody is talking. And I was like, it's just us in the house, baby. I don't hear anybody talking. She's like, Mommy, somebody said, hey, to me. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, they got my ear, and they said, hey, in my ear. But you could hear it. Could you hear it? And I was like, no, I didn't hear it. It's just us in here. And she's like, somebody's talking to me, Mommy. I was like, okay, let's pack up our stuff and we're going to go in the living room and turn the TV on. I didn't want to seem alarmed, and I didn't want her to feel like what she said isn't true. So I was like, okay, let's go in the living room. I'm like, okay. So I called my friend. I'm like, hey, shit's going on in this house. I don't know what's going on, but she's like, let's sage the house. Maybe it just needs to be like cleansed, and because I just been praying, because because the energy was off, and I just was praying over my kids and the energy in the house. So she comes, she sages, and things get weirder. Things absolutely get weirder. So there's a time I was walking my dog. I'm walking my dog. I go to walk in the house, and I can hear my kids like running down the stairs, like, mommy, 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 mommy. And I'm like, what? And I'm walking in the door. I'm like, what's wrong? And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. They're like, no, are you okay? I'm fine. It's my daughters. And they look shook. They look scared. And I was like, why? And they're like, we heard you screaming. We heard you screaming like you are in pain, like something is wrong. So we come running down the stairs to come help you. I was like, I wasn't in the house. I was outside walking the dog. And they're like, no, mommy, we heard you. I swear we heard you. And they're like in tears. And I'm like, you guys, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't really know what to tell them because I'm nervous, and this house is scaring the hell out of me as well. So I'm just like, I'm fine. It's okay. Everything's okay. Let's just go inside. So as we are getting ready to relocate, so I wasn't staying in that house. Other things was going on. It's for another day. I can tell you guys more stories, but other things are going on, and I'm like, it's time to get up out of here. So I'm getting ready to we're packing up. Getting ready to go, and I had a pod, and so I'm cleaning down the fridge, just wiping everything off. And I had a stainless steel fridge, and I'm like wiping the fridge, and it looked like somebody had put little like not metal, the magnet block letters on my fridge everywhere. And I'm wiping, and my oldest daughter comes in, and I ask her, I was like, hey, have you ever seen these on this fridge? And as I say, have you ever, and I wipe, the words have you ever spelled out, but it's flipped backward, like mirrored on that fridge, pop up. So if you know when you wipe down a stainless steel fridge, you wipe it and it like smears and it like disappears, and whatever you wipe should be gone. No, perfectly across it says, have you ever? I looked at her. I said, do you see this? She says, yes, mommy, I see it. I said, oh, hell no, we ain't staying here tonight. We's not staying here tonight. So I called my best friend, like, hey, bestie, we come and spend the night tonight. So we're gonna get this packed. So we are finishing packing up the pod, and the neighbors see us packing up, and they drive up to us. Mind you, I've never talked to them. My daughter went to school and caught the bus with their son. I've never spoken to them. So they drive up, and they're like, oh, are you guys leaving so soon? And I'm like, yeah, we're just heading back to Vegas. She's like, oh, you're just leaving? And her husband's like, everything okay? And I was like, yeah, we're just relocating back. You know, Atlanta ain't for us. And the wife says, so how's the house? That house never has nobody stay there for longer than 2 or 3 months. And I was like, oh, really? She says, yeah, nobody really stays here. And she's like, it's kind of odd when nobody's in that house. We hear screams coming from the house, and we hear loud music, and we hear laughter, but mostly screams coming from the house when nobody is living in that house. And I told her, I said, some interesting things have happened while we were living there. And she was like, really? And I said, yeah. And I didn't tell her anything else. We just kept packing, and the husband was like, yeah, that house has a lot of stuff going on, like lights would be on or lights would be off when nobody is there. And they were like, but are you guys okay? And I was like, yeah, we're fine. We're leaving tonight. And they were like, good. You need to make sure your family is safe. That's all they said. You need to make sure your family is safe. And I was like, you are correct. Nice meeting y'all. We getting up out of here. And I left and did not look back. I did try to do some research on that house when things first started happening. There wasn't anything really to be found. Nothing had happened in that house. But yes, nobody stayed in that house for more than a couple months. Even the owners. I don't know. That's our story.
But how do they keep renting this house out when they know crazy crap is happening?
And that it's got to be a reason that nobody's staying there longer than 3 months.
But I'm saying that the owners know.
That's what I'm saying.
You can at least give me a heads up. And I guess if you give me a heads up, you know I'm not going to stay, so you're losing out on some money. But I think just in good faith, and if I want to try it, I'll just try it.
They need to sell that house and stop trying to rent it out.
But then they're going to be selling the haunted house.
Well, one family versus many. All right, so that is the end of this video.
Those were interesting.
Most of them. Some of them kind of drag, but
some of them were just like.
But if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, Deborah has a new reaction channel called Grown Folk Reactions, and I will put the link
on the YT
and
TikTok.
All right, so I will put the link, definitely the link to her YouTube channel, down in the description. Also, do not forget to subscribe and to hit that notification bell so you know when I have another video coming out. And until next time, stay awakened and stay rooted. Peace.